So Team's Gone Wild. There we go. All right. Team's Gone Wild. Here we go. The first Team's Gone Wild for 2023. Just real quick recap. So Jordan from Colorado, myself from California. Nice to meet you all. And thank you for dropping your names in the chat. It's great to see where everybody's at. Looks like we have a lot of people all over the US. So continue to drop that in there so we can take a look at where you're from. And let's bounce to the next one. We love to see your faces. So I always like to remind you guys of that. I know for some of us on the West Coast, it's very early and maybe a little too early to want to show your faces, but it's all good. Put your cameras on. We love to see you guys. And then if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. We're also going to have a little Q&A at the end. Go to the next one, Liv.
Yeah, if you and if we don't actually hit your question, we are like taking notes of all the questions so that we know what things that we can hit on. And every week, I mean, if there's stuff that we bring up that we don't get a chance to hit in these discussions here, feel free to always reach out to us because there's things that or we can point you to a team that we know that is crushing that category, you know, because there's so many different people that are doing really, really cool stuff in different ways.
Yep. We're here to help you guys. All right. So weekly format, just for anybody that hasn't been on here before. So intro, speaker intro, and their superpower, which Lana's got some awesome superpowers. And then we're going to go over what we can do to help Lana, because it sounds like she wants to do some growth. And then Q&As. But you guys feel free to, this is also a mastermind. So I want to remind everybody that you can chime in anytime too, and we can collaborate on stuff. So if you're one that wants to put it in the chat, do that. If you want to just chime in, just start chatting. All right, Lana, you are the star of the show here. So Lana Rodriguez out of Colorado Springs, and tell us a little bit about
Colorado.
You. Go Colorado.
Go
By
Colorado.
the way, I've never been to Denver, but I'm going to be in Denver with Lana June 16th, 17th, and 18th because we're planning a really fun women's event there. So ladies, take note, save the date, 16th, 17th, and 18th. We're going to be doing some fun stuff in Colorado.
Yes, exciting. Well, first of all, friends, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute honor. And what a better way to start the year with our real friends and also friends out of our brokerage, out of other brokerages. So I'm super stoked. Lana Rodriguez out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, have been blessed to be in the business since end of 2014. That's when I got my real estate license. Prior to that, I used to be in retail management. And for some of you who are like, what is she saying? I cannot understand a word. I do have an accent. I'm an immigrant. I'm from Eastern Europe, and I've been blessed to live in America since 2005. So it's been quite a bit of a journey of evolving and merging into the culture and then merging into the real estate world and trying to become somebody. And I guess I did something right that you guys have me on. So I'm super honored. That's a brief intro, but let's go into questions. I would like to provide our audience as much value as possible because from what I've seen in 34 participants that we have on, we have some seasoned team leaders. We have some people who are, eager to start the team. So let's freaking go.
I love your energy. Yeah, Lana's, by the way, she's going to be the MC of our event for that reason right there. All right, JT, you wanna lead some questions?
Yeah, I'd love to hear, Lana, why like where did this all start? Why did you get into the team space? Give us a little background of how you got started. I know you've been in the business quite some time now, but like when did the team start and why?
Yeah, great question. Great question. So I'm a firm believer one should start the team for two reasons. Either you have a very big mission and vision behind you and you want to incorporate other people. Well, I didn't have that. Or you're so slammed with business and lead opportunities that you're missing out on opportunities to serve all these people and you simply need help. So I was actually in a second category. And I just want to share with you guys how I even got into real estate. It was not a dream for me to become a realtor or sell homes. Brian and I, my husband and I, would PCS military move in 2014. And I really was adamant about to have a kid at the age of 30. Well, my other half was not on the same page with me. So we were talking and I was like, Brian, we need to come to the compromise. And he's a nice military guy, gave me an ultimatum. He's like, well, if you want to have a kid, you need to start contributing to the family, because back then when we moved, I was not working. I kind of left my retail career back in Texas. And I'm like, well, Brian, we're a brand new state. In order for me to even manage retail space of the caliber I used to manage, I would have to go to Denver when it was William Springs. None of this made sense. And he's like, well, why don't you become a realtor? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, like, what do we like? But we kind of backtracked where we were. We were buying our third property together. I bought my first house in Austin, Texas in 2011. Then we invested into multifamily in Austin, Texas as well. And then here we were buying a property from the agent, believe it or not, who found on Zillow. And Brian is like, do you believe all these realtors serviced us as a young military family the way it's supposed to be done? And I'm like, absolutely freaking not. Like our last realtor didn't even show up at closing. It was his assistant. It was our title guy, a lender guy. And he's like, I believe you can, Brian told me, I believe you can do this so much better. And I say, well, I guess, but see, as an immigrant, I had this fear of going to school, to the real estate school. I knew it was going to be short, but intense. And honestly, friends, Brian, like literally, drill sergeant me through the entire school, because there were hard times when I would not understand something. And I was like literally thinking, I was like, God, please let me pass these exams, because all I want is just to get pregnant. And then some of the moms gonna relate, right? Because I'm just being fully transparent and vulnerable with you guys, why I got into the business. And then sure enough, I interviewed around some brokerages in town, and RE/MAX kind of stood out, because RE/MAX used to have, doesn't anymore, but used to have very big presence in Colorado. And I joined #1 brokerage back then, region-wise, and kind of took the ball running. And for some of you friends who are former RE/MAX agents, you know the culture. You're surrounded by top producers. And there was me, a little bit of young Army spouse. Are we allowed to cuss here? Yeah.
Do it.
Okay. Well, it was me, sitting in a room of RE/MAX producers where I did not know shit about real estate. I was so naive and green, and I was sitting next to somebody at the first RE/MAX meeting, and I was like, excuse me, can somebody explain me what GCI means? They're like, this is gross commissions. And I'm like, so you're telling me these men and women like gross like hundreds of thousands of dollars a month? And I was like, mind blown. And long story short, my first year of business, I was blessed with my pregnancy of my first child, of my daughter. And I landed into this RE/MAX intern group. The intern, they get a bunch of us young people of like 10 agents, and they are like, train us and do this and this and this. And somehow end of that year, I became intern of the year. And, baby steps. There's some things that I discovered that I will not do my business. For example, RE/MAX back then was very big on cold calling and door knocking, all these old school systems. And I did that. Trust me, I did that. However, you guys can hear an accent. And every time I pick up this bad boy and cold call somebody, my accent comes out, and I figure like I lose the sale. So I understood that's not my freaking superpower, and that's not how I'm doing business. However, my superpower is when I'm close proximity to somebody and I can read their body language. And that comes from the background of sales experience. I very quickly figured out, they're going to love me. They're either going to hate me or they're going to love me. But most people love me because I have a specific way of connecting to many different caliber of people. Either it's a young military family, either it's a seasoned investor. I just have that superpower, especially when I get close proximity. And backtrack, the second year of business, 2016. And Jordan, I'm not trying to not answer your question. I'm going into answering your question, but giving a little background story. Second year of business, 2016, birthed my daughter, actually stayed with her. She was in NICU for 10 days. And then we came home. I was at home with her for also approximately 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. And then I went back to work. I had no support system. I had a part-time TC by choice, because I was buried in paperwork. I hate paperwork. Most of us team leaders do, And 2016 was a deal-breaking year, 119 transactions as a solo agent.
Crazy. That's amazing.
Mind blown. If you ask
Yeah.
me, how did you do this? I mean, I worked my ass off. I brought my mom from Mother Russia, country of Latvia to be specifically. I'm not from Russia. Don't get it twisted. Just to take care of my kid. Brian was still active duty, and I just took the ball running. Referrals kept coming in. I started tapping into the client events. I was also part of the Buffini coaching, and as some of you know who Brian Buffini is, it's a fellow immigrant working by referral guy. And I just did a lot of shit that other people were not willing to do. Give you an example. We were sitting at our Remax intern group, and I was gonna do the pie deliveries. Pies. Have you guys heard of realtors deliver pies? That was me. And people are like, "Oh, are you really gonna do this? I mean, that kind of sucks." We're like, "Yeah," and I did. And I think that kind of helped me build the foundation. And at the end of 2016, I told Brian, I was like, "Brian, I need to do something. I'm miserable. I am fattest ever been because I gained a lot of stress and baby weight, and like I have not seen him, I have not seen my child." And Brian's like, "You just need to get more organized." And I'm like, "No, buddy, I think I need to start a team." But see, in 2016, with being part of the Remax ecosystem, they really didn't have a structure or proper way. I would go to and sorry, friends, if you're still with Remax, I love you, and you probably are there for a reason, but I'm just telling my story. I went to my managing broker's office, and I'm like, "Sir, I'm struggling. What should I do?" He's like, "Lana, you're a top producer. You should know what to do." And I'm like, "I fucking don't." And sure enough, what I did, and that's a lesson number one. When you're starting a team, you do not start adding up immediately licensed agents. You bring an assistant, you bring support staff, and then you leverage that way. But I added 3 licensed agents who were hungry for leads, and I'm like, "Help me, take all the business off my plate that I cannot handle, and let's fucking go." And for the first 2 years, it was me and 3 other licensed ladies. I immediately assigned a listing specialist because, believe it or not, I do not like working with sellers. I'm a buyer's agent at heart. And then I had 2 buyers gals. And that was the start, how I started a team.
I love it. And it's really important for everyone to understand your why. Like, we all got into the team space for a specific reason. I think a lot of people think, "Oh, you probably started a team because you thought that was the easiest way to make more money." Leading a team is not easy. There's always a reason behind it. It usually starts with feeling overwhelmed and stressed, or you're just naturally more gifted at the leadership space. And so naturally you start gathering people around you, and then you start leading them. But understanding your why was really, really helpful for me, how you got here. Now I'd love to hear, give us a snapshot of your structure. What is the Lana Rodriguez group? Is it just you and a bunch of assistants? Is it you and a bunch of agents? Like, give me how many people are on your team, and what are the different roles that exist?
Yeah, well, great question, Jordan. Thank you. So right now, I want to say confidently, because it took me 8 years to figure it out, right? And for some of you watching who's thinking starting a team, if you don't figure out the team model or the team structure within the next few years, it's fine. It's fine. It's always evolving. But for us right now, team is probably the solid that it's ever been. For some of you who know me closely, I do run and operate the team with my lovely spouse, Brian Rodriguez. Yes, if you're working with your spouse, you know exactly how it's going. There's of course pros and cons, and we can touch on that. More pros, but there is definitely some serious cons to consider. And right now we have 10. So it's myself as a team leader, aka the boss. I can safely say that because Brian's not in this space. But then we have 10 licensed agents. And I'll tell you what I restructured from a year ago to now. And then we have about 4 or 5 support staff. And one of the most important things that we implemented from last year to this year, we actually brought on a team manager. And see, I had a vision for somebody like that for the longest time. It's just that person never landed on my lap. But this woman came into our organization last year, and she got brought on as administrative assistant. Only because I was just little scared to assign her this big responsibility without seeing how she operates. And then within 90 days, it was no brainer. And then we promoted her as a team manager. So she oversees operations of the team, administrative structure, and she works very, very closely with our transaction coordinator. And we do have in-house transaction coordinator. And it also took me, oh God, almost 7 years to find somebody. Because as you will start growing your organization, you will see there's going to be a lot of people who's going to want to tap into the TC world. But number one, they're going to suck and they're not going to care about the position. And they're going to start dropping balls. And with the TC, it's one of the most crucial positions within the team. So now I have huge blessing operating with these two ladies. And I call them my empire protectors. So that's something you probably guys want to write down, a term, empire protector, because Jordan, I know you have empire protectors who are actually overseeing your business. And Serri, I know you have empire protectors too, and we can kind of collaborate on that. But it's very, very important because for me as a leader, I'm clearly visionary. You guys can see I'm like this glorified cheerleader. I'm like, let's fucking go. Yes, yes. But running business, real estate team, it takes much more than that. So these ladies, they're my eyes and ears within the organization, and they kind of handle not the sexy stuff of the team, you know, hiring, firing, transaction management, administrative stuff that I dislike. Also, friends, for you watching who are thinking to becoming a team leader, identify what you like and just capitalize on that. You don't have to be more organized if organization is not your top skill, right? And of course, Brian and I, we lead the team. We're the main rainmakers of the organization, meaning we bring the leads into the company. And as we were figuring out, you know, our transition into dual working couple together, what we discovered is that, you know, we cannot both run the residential world. And that's why Brian actually right now oversees the commercial division. He tapped into commercial. It was many trials and errors because for some of you new agents, it's hard to get into the commercial world, especially if you're a newer agent, but he did it. He had couple big significant sales behind his belt, and it helped us drastically. I'm focusing on residential, Brian is focusing on commercial, and it kind of works great.
So you have your empire protectors. There's how many of those? How many staff?
Two
staff?
two big empire protectors. We have a full-time marketing director, or aka marketing manager. And then we did for last 3 years, we had an in-house full-time photographer, videographer.
Yep.
And we're gonna have it again come spring. Right now.
Oh, and then you have the TC. So you have 4 staff.
So 4 staff at the moment, yes.
And then you say once again, how many agents?
10 agents. 10 agents,
Okay.
myself, 11 total.
And you guys don't buy leads.
We don't buy leads. We don't buy leads.
Okay,
That's one thing.
so that's a really unique concept for a team to not buy leads. I run a mastermind in Denver with some of the top team leaders in the Denver metro market. And it's always fascinating to sit in this room with, you know, I mean, we did the math. There's 12 of us in this room, and we represented almost 7,000 transactions in the Denver market in 2022. And it's so fascinating to hear how everybody's running their teams and doing different things. And I can tell you that none of them aren't buying leads. So, and I could say that probably most of the people on this call that are leading the team are probably buying leads as well. So all of us would love to hear, how are you generating leads without buying them? I know that you have a unique approach. So teach us, coach us. And then we're going to dive into the last question after we get done with this little section. And I would love to know where you're stuck, and we'd like to speak into it.
Another quick question for you, Lana, with that is, I know you want to, one of the questions that you answered was you'd like to scale into a mega team, right? So I'd be curious too what your vision is to be scaling into that without leads, or do you plan on adding that in as you scale?
Well, yeah, we can go into this. Because Brian and I, my husband and I, we were trying to figure out the math, right? Because just to share with you guys, not trying to brag, but we're all friends, so I can brag a little. We just saw the latest MLS ranking that came out, because I'm a little bit competitive. I think we all are. And my team is number 4 in Colorado Springs out of, God, we have 5,000 agents. So for MLS ranking, we're number 4. And the teams that are above me, they're grandfathered with Zillow. They do Zillow Flex. They're actually top 3 teams in a city that are actually allowed to do Zillow Flex. And there's me, little guy, work by referral, yay, right? But once again, and when you grew your business working by referral, And when you sit down with the Zillow rep, you're like, you're telling me I need to pay it. It's kind of hard, but maybe it's my limiting belief. But we also understand that we need to scale and do something drastically different to take more market share in our city, right? It may be Zillow leads, it may be local leads, right? So I don't know, and that's why maybe you guys gonna help me. But working by referral, once again, tapped into Brian Buffini's systems, and I took a little bit some of the things because he's big on calls, notes, and pop buys. I was clearly not going to do calls. I did my share of pop buys, and we're still kind of continuing the momentum with pop buys, just especially if we're doing a little less client events some year, we're doing more pop buys. And then had my share of handwritten notes as well. But this is what was a big aha moment for me. When I was running this mighty team of myself and 3 licensed agents, I also became a mom. And then, that mom guilt hits you pretty hard at some point. And then I was like, well, shit, I need to be more strategic with my time. How can I still touch all my clients? Because if you guys cannot tell, I love people. I love all of you guys. Some of you are very dear friends of mine on this podcast, and some of you are collaborators. I love freaking people, right? I'm a people person, and I love my clients. One thing what we did very, very fast, we started branding our client group as a client community. Number one, it was my vision for the longest time. I came to America as an immigrant. It was a very lonely road. I married a military guy. And if you think that's not fucking lonely, sorry, it's very lonely too. So I had this vision to create a community that everybody can be a part of. Everybody can feel welcome. And that's what I did with our client community. And you friends, feel free to absolutely take this idea and call your client group my client community. So when I communicate to my database, it's always like, hey, welcome to our client community. We're so grateful you're here. So because everybody wants to belong and be part of something, right? And that's when I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do Zillow because I'm just not going to do it. As a matter of fact, I actually did Zillow for 6 months in 2017. I got upsold for one little zip code, and I got maybe 3 leads closed. First of all, when the Zillow called, I always let it go to voicemail, and that's a big, big no-no. And I'm like, well, it's not going to be for me. So I tried it for about, 6 months or whatnot. But one time I started hosting the small client event, and it was in this little Brazilian joint in Colorado Springs. And I was sitting there and I was like, this is kind of genius. I'm spending 4 quality hours with these clients, and they're happy, they're eating, they're drinking, they get a little bit of Lana time. But what if I take this and do this monthly or bi-monthly? What if I do this on steroids? Right? Because that's the only thing I knew. And that's what I did. So our client event appreciation system, fully transparently, we were one of the first people in town even doing client events. Now there's more people, some other teams are doing, which is fine. I think everybody needs to do client event at least once a quarter, or if not more. But we kind of started doing it on steroids, right? And we trying to touch, is there an occasion or a holiday? We're definitely doing something, either it's pop buys or client events. And it works for our client avatar, because all of you friends here on this call need to start thinking, what's my client avatar? Meaning, who is this ideal scenario of a client who's going to be happy to work with me? And for us, it's a lot of military families. And I know for the fact, for my military family clients, there's nothing much going on for them out in the outside world, unless they get invited to post and go to some military function that's usually kind of very basic. So we started providing these client experiences for their families and their kids, and it became a bit of a culture. So now we were supposed to host a holiday gala this year. It's a big celebration, adults only, and we're not going to do that. And simply, we're not going to do that for budgeting purposes, because we got to see where this year unfolds. And I'm just being fully transparent. And we have clients literally messaging us like, hey, Lana, what's the date for the celebration or gala? And I haven't got back to them yet, but it's the culture that you create. And the ultimate reason why we're doing this, all friends, is because, yes, I like to have a great time. I want to provide, cool experiences to my clients, but ultimately it gives us opportunity to market us to the clients nonstop. And what it gives us, top of heart, top of mind. My only goal for my client community is when they hear real estate, I want them to think of my team.
Did you say top of heart, top of mind?
Yes, sir.
I like that. So how many client events are you running per year?
Okay, so last year it was, I think, 7 or 8 client events. Last year was a good year,
How much money are you spending in a year on? You said 7, 8. So let's just call it 8. What was your budget for all these events?
Budget, one of my favorite words. Just kidding. Okay. And I'll tell you, so let me talk about whether we have 2022, 2021. Because for 2021 and for 2022, it's the first 2 years out of 8 years, we finally started getting some sponsorship monies coming in. Prior to that, it was all out of pocket. And probably on average, if our team would get 0 sponsorship dollars, we're probably looking at $100,000.
Okay.
$100,000 in marketing costs for the events, because there's some events that's going to cost less. For example, Easter brunch, it's anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000, but it's a big event. That's what we're going to do next in April 2023. We're going to start the year with that, and we host it at the Shine Mound Resort. Beautiful resort, and it's a brunch buffet. We do the Easter egg hunt. There's unlimited mimosas for adults, and then pictures with Easter bunny. But because it's a very classy, I don't want to take it to the park. We started at the park, we brought it there. But for example, that particular venue hotel charges more. Then in June, give you an example, we're gonna do Tinseltown movie premiere. Usually every summer there's some kind of kids movie premiere comes out, and we just rent out maybe 6-5 movie theaters, and it's gonna be a little cheap, probably $7,000-8,000 event, right? Holiday gala that we are not going to do this year. It runs also anywhere from $20,000 to maybe $25,000 because the dinner cost and liquor cost and the venue cost.
So you're spending about $100,000, and then how much money do you have coming in from vendors?
Okay, good question. So as far as vendors, and this is how it's gonna. So there's gonna be your little supporters, like your inspector guy, your insurance guy. Your roofer, they're going to contribute a little bit. And sometimes it also may not be the money, it may be their time or the prizes or raffle things. But instead of Colorado, and don't quote me, that's what I was told, that your lending partner can contribute up to 50% of the event cost. That's not all the time. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. And of course, they have to run it by their marketing department or approving authority. But that's what instead in Colorado, right? And we don't go to our lender. As a matter of fact, I'm the kind of person, I hate asking people for shit. I just feel like if you want to be part of my world, just come give it to me. But that's not how it works. But we do have a preferred lender gentleman who's been with us, and he's a good sport. And we're like, okay, because I have seen other, big teams have lending support. I was just like, well, maybe they had, extra or special. But we came to our guy and I was like, look, and this is how you ask for money, friends. Very, very important. You don't send them like a low-key text and be like, yeah, just want to contribute. No, you take them out for, I believe, coffee, lunch, or date, get them in an in-person interaction. You show them the picture you're painting and explain them why you're doing this and how are they going to benefit from it. And that's what we did with our guy. And it worked. It worked. And he contributed for most of the big events. For smaller events, we don't ask for anything. But it's been very, very helpful. Very helpful.
Okay, so I'm doing some basic math. Looks like you in that slide earlier said you closed 101 million in 2022. Mm-hmm. And if we're doing some basic math, I would assume there's probably $2.5 million with the GCI in there. And so you're generating 200 plus deals out of client events, and past client care and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so if we're going to break it down, so probably let's say like 150, 130 comes from past clients, press sphere.
Lana, are you still in production as well?
It's a really painful question. I don't know how to answer it. Do not judge me. As of last year, I was fully out of production, but there's more stories. I was fully out of the production, and the beginning of last year, I had everything squared away. Life was good. Till my listing manager of 5 years decided to part ways. That's a different story. We're going to talk about the culture, and we're going to address that because I'm sure that's going to be a topic today. And I was so upset with the entire situation that I went back into production. And for a few months, I was just handling listings till, and that's when it's happened, because a year ago, I was running a team where I had specialists. I had a listing specialist. I had VA loan specialist, I had buyer specialist, I had investment specialist. And after I departed ways with some of my team members, I'm like, fuck this. There's going to be no more specialists ever going to be cross-trained, because I will never going to be in the same position again. Because when you have one specialist, what happens when they leave? You're stuck, you're stuck. So we can talk about it, but now everybody on my team are cross-trained. All the buyers agents can also handle listings. Of course, a senior agent gets, majority of the listing leads and things like that. But I'm a firm believer in cross-training your people, so they are set up for success.
I love that. If you guys aren't, anyone on this call isn't cross-training your people and your staff, it's an incredible tool. It's something that we have a goal of. And the reason why we do is because we also, because I have 9-10 staff, and we want them cross-trained because we have an unlimited vacation policy. And so we want people to be able to have the freedom to say, I'm taking vacation with my family and I have all my bases covered, and I have these people over here that understand my role and can do it. And so it creates this team space where everybody can help everybody. And so cross-training is incredibly important, in my opinion, in real estate teams. Who's got some questions in this group? I want to make sure that we're getting some interaction here. So Lana is her cost per lead is ridiculously low, which means her profit is high. It doesn't matter how big your team, it doesn't matter how many houses you sell, it matters how much you profit. That is, at the end of the day, what real estate's all about. A lot of people are like, I'm going to be a solo agent and go to 100% split brokerage, and what they forget to realize is they're going to spend 50% of their commission on running the business. And so expenses are something that you have to look at. It's all about profit. So who's got questions? Let's open it up here.
We've got some questions in the chat as well.
Yeah, I see Rebecca is asking, let me see.
One of the things, do you take care of the TC and photographer fees? That was a question in here. How do you manage those costs?
Yeah, great question. Since we had in-house photographer, videographer for last 3 years, it was a complimentary cost. It was a salaried position. So yes, I take care of that. And even now, while we're in transition period, while we're looking for another in-house person, listing from marketing fees, photography fees, we take care of that. However, the TC fee is paid on our agent side. On our agent side.
Another question I have for you, Lana, is from the client experience, from, going under contract to close, what kind of client touch points, if any, do you have, and who covers that? What does that look like?
Yeah, great question. So I'm truly believe that, we start, getting our raving fans from the beginning of the transaction. However, it's kind of hard because people are in a bit of a different mentality. So what we did for last few years, what worked very effectively for us, we implemented a position as a client care manager. And once again, that's another transitional position in our team, because there has been somebody on my team for the last 3 years, and she's been my right hand. Because how else can you train somebody to think like you and to have the vision like you if they're not by your side? So this person was by my side for the last 3 years, and she started as a part-time assistant, and then she became a client care manager of our organization. And now we just brought on a new person who I'm going to be doing the same thing. But most of the time, the client is handled by an agent, and our agents we're all on the same page. They're fully trained. We're kind of like all operate as a big team. I'm always heavily involved. That's one thing, Jordan, I'm out of production, but I am heavily involved into every transaction. And now, because I know how Jordan runs his team, he has like the leaders, the senior agents became the leaders, and we just implemented that particular scenario within our team as well. But the magic starts happening after the transaction is closed, because then that's when they become part of our client community. The touch points look like this. Our client care manager would call them immediately after the transaction is closed and introduce herself. And let me tell you how that system, or shall I say SOP, came about. About 2 years ago, I was at home, it was at 10 o'clock at night, and one of my clients, one of the A+ clients, which is meaning repeat client who did multiple transactions, was blowing up my phone at 10 o'clock. And me being a Pop-Tart agent or realtor, I'm like, yeah, what's up? What's going on? And she's like, hey, my fridge is broken. And it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm like putting my kid to bed. I'm like, okay, your fridge is open. Like, what am I supposed to do? I don't even know what kind of fridge you have. And I told myself, I will never be in this position again. And that's why now all of our clients, when they close with our team, they know they're going to call the office number and they're going to ask to speak with the client care manager because she's going to handle that stuff for us. Because I also don't want my agent's phone be blowing up about things like that, you know, which is, of course, we're always available. Don't think we're like ignoring our clients. And that's when the transaction closes, a client care manager gives them a call, establishes the authority that, hey, I'm here for you for any questions, you know, personal, if you need any resources, and also something breaks. We also, one thing what we do at our team, we provide a home warranty for every buyer. And that's a personal choice. That's something, it's a little extra value add we add. Because I just want my clients to be covered. You know, it helps a little bit for us too. If, you know, something breaks right after the closing, I don't have to write a check out of my pocket because that happened before. And then the client care manager establishes the authority. She's also a liaison between home warranty company and this particular client. And then we do a touch point. So first call right after closing, then we do one in 30 days, one in 90 days, and one in 6 months. And it kind of helped us to prevent a lot of things, you know. So it's just nice little touch point. So for some of you, you don't have to have a fancy position of a client care manager on your team, but if you maybe you want to have incorporate your assistant doing these touches too, that kind of works very well for us. And of course, all our clients get a closing gift. That's kind of huge. So a nice little American flag with a Colorado sign on it, part of a branding too.
And you pay for that, right? Your team pays for that as opposed to the agents?
Agents pay for that.
Agents pay for that. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have an SOP, Lana, for your, do you have a workflow? Do you have an SOP that you could share?
No, we don't have SOPs. We don't have like a policy procedure book. We don't have anything like that. We probably need to sit down and write it all down. But we don't have anything. I did share another document that you can share with everybody. It's some client event IDs and some execution steps. But yeah, we don't have anything written down. We don't have operations manual, nothing like that. So just, I guess, another opportunity to do it, you know?
Yeah, for those of you that haven't heard the phrase SOP, it's standard operating procedure. It's something that we've put into practice over the last year or so, where we literally document SOPs for every corner of our business. And the reason why we do that is just for documentation, training. When your teams get so big, at some point you don't really have eyes into every corner. And so it helps go, what is our process for this? What is our workflow for that? What's our framework for that? And SOPs, you know, if you're bringing on a new client manager, having the SOP is an instant, like, this is the process that we built. But I think it's amazing. So you said 30, 60, 90 days, your client manager is calling all the past closed clients and just touching base with them, seeing how they're doing, checking in, seeing how the house is, and building that relationship. That's amazing.
And everyone, we just dropped Lana's takeaway in the chat. So if you guys want to grab that, it's right over there. You guys can pick that up. All right. What other questions might you guys have? Yeah.
I have a question for you. Going back to your client appreciation event, you're talking about doing a minimum once a quarter. We talked about some of your grand ones. We're committing to doing these once a quarter this year. What are your smaller, quote unquote, events? And how do you have I guess you don't have an SOP, but do you have a plan for, like, you call them before, during, and at, like what are your touch points around your events, and what are some of the smaller events you're doing?
Yeah, Peter, this is a great question. Thank you for asking. And actually, in that takeaway sheet that I prepared for you guys, you will see the 5 touches that are very, very important for successful turnaround for the event. So please take it and save it and use it for the rest of the year, because a lot of planned events happen to be my topic of sharing with the audience, and a lot of people get super excited, and then they're like, okay, we hosted a client event, but no one came, or attendance rate was very, very small. And I was like, but did you do the 5 touches? Because you have to think, like, people are squirrels. People's minds are squirrels. So if you launch something and you send out just one simple email and you expect all your clients to, like, yes, we got the email from her, she's doing something, especially if it's your first time and it's not a habit within your organization, they may not show up. So that's why what we do 5 touches on every event, small or big. And we started first of all with we have a private client Facebook group, And you guys all should be launching that for 2023. If you don't know how to, please reach out to me. I'm going to walk you through. This has been by far the best tool for our business, because what we do, somebody closes the transaction with us or somebody wants to work with our team, simple conversation. Hey, do you mind if we add you to our client Facebook group? There's going to be lots of resources. You're going to be informed about all the events coming up. And most of the time it's a yes. And now you have a controlled environment, controlled group of all your people, right? Where you can strategically message them and market yourself, whatever you want. And the only time they don't see this when they tap out of this, and most of the time no one taps out of this. So first thing we do, we create a Facebook event in that particular group, because some people are very Facebook heavy and they're immediately going to see that. Second thing we do, we always do the mailers. We design a nice mailer, because I'm a firm believer in tangible items. And everyone who worked with us in the past, right now we have about 500 active families living in town, they get a nice mailer invite, because I'm a firm believer they're going to open it. Okay, they're going to open it, they're going to slap it on their fridge, and they're going to be seeing this particular invitation for quite some time. Then either myself and some team members, we go on site of the event and we do a video. And if you don't have a partnership with a videographer, it's okay. You take an assistant, or you take your spouse, and you bring your cell phone, or you even do a selfie mode video like, hey friends, I'm standing at this pumpkin patch and we cannot wait to see you here in a month. Come on, you know, because some people may be visual. They may not see your Facebook invite. Their husband may check the mail and throw away whatever you mail them. But when they see it, I'm like, wow, what Lana is hosting seems legit. Least but not last, we always do the email invite via email blast or newsletter format. And then of course, you know, don't forget about the personal touch. I encourage myself and now my teammates and my client care manager, please do a personal touch, either text, DM, or a phone call to all your clients, because they may see all this spam coming through with all the event. They maybe not going to come. But when you personally invite them, it makes a huge difference. And that's why our attendance rate of all the events we pack, it's huge. Now, Peter, it took us some time to get there, okay? And we've been hosting this for like almost last 7-8 years. But now, just to give you an example, Pumpkin Patch we had 760 people come through. That's all the past clients that brought neighbor, that brought friends, whatever, right? But it's a bit of a community feel. And you just ask smaller events. Well, smaller events are going to be kind of tricky, because one of the smaller events we host Mother's Day appreciation event. We do painting with a twist, but then it limits your ability to market to males, to people who are not mothers, right? I still suggest if you guys start mapping it out, and I know Rowell wants to do some things to start incorporating events where everybody are welcome, especially families with kids. Because you won't believe how hard it is to find a sitter for your kids or somebody trusted to watch. So we noticed every time we open it to, you know, their families, their kids, attendance rate is out of yin yang. And if I can just tell you right now, do something for the Easter, you will have plenty of time to execute and plan. And people are religious or not, everybody celebrates Easter, especially when they have kids. You know, magic of the Easter bunny, Easter egg hunt. You don't have to do all the way out and do a brunch. You can start with a Easter egg hunt at the park. Bring a food truck, bring a donut truck, slushy truck, you know, have a speaker or have a DJ playing little tunes. And when you touch your clients' kids, there's some magic behind it, because it makes parents feel so special. I mean, most of us are parents here, right? And like when your kid is happy, you're freaking happy. And when they see you as your realtor, making your kids happy, it goes a long way. That's a shit you cannot buy, you know? So do something in the summer, either ice cream social or movie premiere. Movie premiere, there's some things, there's Transformer movie coming out very, very soon. I know there's some cartoon movie coming out in June. We dress up as a team. We hosted a, you know, big welcome party in the movie theater lobby, and kids and parents can come and enjoy the movie on us. You know, it's a bit of a tradition. And then friends, I'm telling you, Pumpkin Patch. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but somehow people ditch the summer clothes and come to Pumpkin Patch. Like they are looking forward to it so much. So that's why Pumpkin Patch, like many years in a row, it's our biggest event. And then of course, December, November, always do the pies if you want. It sounds cliche, everybody are doing the pies. But what we did, we added pictures with Santa. So all our clients come get a nice Costco or Sam's Club pie, and they take a picture with a Santa for their holiday photos. So if you do these 4 events, like four friends, it's gonna take up your business to the whole new level. Because most importantly, your competition is not doing that. Most of the realtors, they're like, oh, client events, fuck it. No.
All right, I got a question. So when you have these agents on your team,
Yeah.
how are the leads getting to them? Like, are all the leads coming to you, or like, is there one number that people are calling, or one email, or are they going to the agent that they worked with in the past, or how do you, like, let's say I'm an agent and I live in Colorado Springs and I want to join your team. How do I get opportunities from you? Like, how does that distribution happen? I'm guessing if I close a client and they're coming to your events, and then they're going to call me and refer me. But if I'm new, then how does that work? How do you handle all the logistics there?
Yeah, great question. And at the moment, so of course, if one of the agents get a referral from their sphere they work with, it kind of goes to them directly. But most of the leads incoming going through me. Number one is because, I'm in a relationship business. So it's important to me to know who referred this client or where this client came from. And to answer your question, from out of 200 leads closings last year, about 150, 140 were from, from the past clients and sphere. The rest of them were agent to agent referrals. I'm a big connector. I love connecting with agents out of state, and we get a lot of referral business too. And then when the lead comes in, I'm heavily involved. I kind of like trying to learn who's a potential consumer, and then I'm trying to match them who's the right fit on my team.
So you're handling the distribution. You are.
At the moment, I am.
You're playing matchmaker.
Yes, sir.
So
Awesome.
a couple more questions here. I'll read them out. So do the agents pay for any of the event, or is that just all paid by the team?
That's paid all by the team. And that's our
Okay.
big value prop. You come, you just because all I want from my agents is to come in and plug in their spheres. I was like, you're going to have 5, 6, 7, 8 opportunities a year to plug in your sphere and, to market to your sphere, despite all other things. Of course, we do like monthly mailers and a couple other things. And that's been a huge value prop for our team. So yes, we pay. It's our marketing cost. We fully cover that.
And then who does most of the event planning? Is that more of your role too? It sounds like you're involved in a lot of that.
Well, I'm a visionary. Jordan, remember that event, the Elevate event you attended?
Yep.
Yeah, so we hosted our first real estate conference in September, last September, and it was planned within a month. And it was planned in ahead by Lana, but it was executed by my support staff and team. And they probably hated me after that because I will never do that to them again. But it was one heck of an event. We did a great job. So client care manager Susie, it was her. Now it's going to be Tanya, who just started with us on our team. And then we also bring in another assistant because right now on the scale we are at the moment of our business, it takes 2 people to fully execute. And I'm heavily involved. Everything is ran by me. But if you assign me something, it's probably never going to get complete. So I kind of need people around me to help me execute and complete.
All right.
Love
let's
it.
see.
Few more
Megan, you have
questions in
a
there.
question. Do you want to ask it? I'm going to call you out, girl.
Yeah. Hi, Lana. I'm Megan.
Hi,
Me and Serri have been doing business. I'm Serri's cousin, but I'm a
calling you out.
solar producer right now. So I really identify with you a lot because I'm similar. I work on my own referrals, and I'm very client oriented and that kind of thing. So I'm curious about how your handoff goes. Like a lot of my clients, like they know me. They're very tied to me, and then trying to hand them off to other agents, like how that transition works and what your involvement is in each transaction. You say you're still heavily involved, so I'm just curious how you carry that relationship through, but not producing.
Okay. Yeah, great question. Yeah, handoff is very important. For the longest time, I had a limiting belief that, well, my clients want me. No. Your clients want the service you provide. As long as the service level doesn't drop and they're taken care of, they're going to be happy. The minute they're going to get bad service or something happens, they're going to try to blame you. So once again, that's why I'm heavily involved in the startup process to understand where the lead came from. You know, was it an A++ client? If it's an A++ client, meaning somebody who refers me multiple times, and we do have a partner agent program. So I had a partner agent that didn't work out last year. I just don't think that model is for me. I know Jordan has a very successful partner agent model. My husband Brian has a partner agent, James. That's he got so lucky with James. It's not even a no-brainer. But when I do a handoff, I call my agents on my team a partner agent. And if it's a very dear referral from a dear lead source, I'm always either on an introduction call or introduction message. And I say, we're so excited to work with you. This is Lana Rodriguez. And I'm looping in my partner agent, Amy, because it feels more relational. That, you know, because number one, first of all, no one wants to work with licensed assistant, and no one wants to work with some mediocre agent. And then we set expectations up front. Because remember, when expectations are up front, communicated, the rest is easy. Sometimes also if it's a dear referral or a past client that I work with, I will go to the listing appointment and I bring an agent and I kind of like, this is what I'm going to be doing and this is what she's going to be doing. And then they see you as a team and it works very, very well. And of course, if it's a referral comes in from, let's say a client, we don't know who like, I don't know who worked with that client, or I'm not really familiar, I kind of let the agent take the lead. And I'm still present within the like intro emails when they go under contract and things like that, but I'm a little less involved. And, you know, within the last year, probably within the next year, I want to figure out the way how I'm going to transition myself out, but it's hard because it's my name on a team. And then sometimes feel like, well, where's Lana Rodriguez? Is she even involved? Is she even real? So I never want to get to that, but I want to get more strategic to how I'm going to do this because it can get very, very consuming.
All right, well, we just have a few more minutes here. One of our goals here is obviously you just brought us a ton of value. And I think there's a lot of people that might want to reach out to you or send you a question. That we put your contact info up here in the link tree. But is there anything that you're currently stuck in your business that maybe a few of us might raise our hands and say, hey, I've mastered that and I'd love to share it with you?
Yeah, of course. And if I would say, no, guys, my life is perfect and everything is peachy, I would be lying to you. So I guess, you know, getting SOPs will be number one, because our plan is to add more agents within 2023. But we also understand that if you don't have SOPs and you cannot train your people, you know, correctly. So how do I get that? Do I just have to sit down and write it down and like with my admin team, what do we do? And then of course, like, I mean, I want to scale, I want to grow strategically, but, you know, is it time for me to invest in Zillow? Is it time for me to invest in some paid lead sources? Or should I just continue the momentum that's been working well for us? I would take some pointers on that.
I'd like to call out Aaron Shalosky on the call here to speak to the SOP thing. He's our director of operations for my team, and he's helped implement SOPs across the board. Anything you'd like to share, Aaron?
Yeah, I would just state that maybe make that a goal of the admin team. We made an SOP goal this year, and we just train that we have a template that's all contained in Google Drive, and essentially just train people on the fundamentals of an SOP. And in fact, over the winter break, I was creating a lot of those using screenshots, videos, and so and as I mentioned earlier in the chat, excuse me, if your business is going to integrate virtual assistants, those are super helpful in training VAs, having the step-by-step SOP process. So we could share more, even our SOP template and with this group after the call.
I love that too. Thank you.
I think some of our plans too, Jordan, is to not only have, Jordan and I've talked about, to not only have just team leaders on Teams Gone Wild, by the way. We're also going to be integrating some operations, some operational leaders. So that's going to be some great ways for you guys to plug in. So Lana, you know, you would plug in. Obviously, I'm happy to share our SOPs. I'm always willing to just share what's been created. I can tell you that stuff was not created by me. It's typically not created by the team leaders. It's created by the Aarons. And then of course we jump in and we help and we review it and we go over it. But you need to have those people in your life that help to create those things. So we are going to be opening up Teams Gone Wild to operation leaders too, because they are the heartbeat. If you ask me, they are the heartbeat of running a team. And especially when you want to try to run a team to scale. And so obviously I run a team at scale, you know, we're around 70-ish agents. And my mind always goes to, well, how can we scale this? And I didn't start that way. I started just like you with a couple of agents, and things just kind of like changed as we went. And scale is always, well, does that scale? And if the answer is no, then we don't do it. We find a way to scale it. Yeah.
Yeah, I I love all that. And the other thing I would tell you, Lana, is you talked about scaling with leads. I was just looking at I Googled your name in Colorado Springs, and you have the Google reviews. I would make it a goal for you guys this year, if I were you, to increase your Google account review, get it like really, really high, and then start considering doing Google local services paid ads. It's going to drive business to you, and it's probably the highest. It's the best lead out there. It's better than Zillow. It's better than anything. And you have such a big brand and you have so many past clients that you could easily go to them and say, hey, would you help us? Or we're doing a campaign, or whatever the story is, and get your Google reviews counts really high, to be the top in Colorado Springs, and then do some paid ads, and then your office phone will start ringing, because people care about the house when they're buying. They care about the agent when they're selling. So this is typically a listing lead source, but it doesn't hurt some people do care about the agent on the buy side too, but typically it's more the house. But that would be a great place to start if you're going to buy leads.
Love that.
Any other advice out there that you guys want to give out in the community? To Lana?
It's okay. I can take criticism, friends.
I was just going to say, like what Beth and I did on our team when we were ready to write those procedures. It wasn't us writing them either. We did a lot of like short videos of what we did, kind of whatever your zone of genius is that you want to pass on and train, and then had those operations and admin people distill it down into a document. So it was just like a brain dump, and then had someone else write it. And that seems to work really well for us.
Love it.
Well, guys, I think that's wrapping up our time here. Serri, I don't know if you had any other thoughts, but I just wanted to say thank you, Lana, for sharing so openly. Your document that you gave us as a takeaway is really big. I think our goal is to, like Serri said, is to bring the top people that we're connected to in the industry to bring value. And if any of you guys have referrals for Colorado Springs, you should be talking to Lana. Not to be mistaken with Denver, which is my area.
Yes.
Very different market.
Well, I'm over here in San Diego, you guys. Totally different area. So, yep. Also, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram. Lana, I think you just on TikTok, didn't you just hit some how many, what was the number?
I hit 50,000 on TikTok. But don't rush to follow me, because it's not all real estate content. It's actually weight loss content. So if you want to find out about weight loss, follow me on that. But yeah, TikTok, friends, TikTok is a platform that everybody absolutely need to tap into, especially if you want to grow organic audience, and if you have a vision to go viral, because TikTok will going to give you that opportunity.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Happy New Year's. And we will see y'all next Wednesday.
Thank you, everyone.
You guys.
Thank you.